For the thousands in the comments and the millions listening on YouTube Premium.
Folks, welcome to Knitro! Here on Knotfest, we are deep in the throngs of December World Championship Wrestling. It's Rob here with Jordan and Bo. Thank you for tuning in with us on the Nitro Pod. This week's episode, December 11th? Right? Or
December 11th. Never forget.
Never forget. 12/11/95. Never forget. And let's dive right into it. Immediately, we get Leather Daddy Pepe.
Dude.
I'm loving Leather Daddy Pepe.
I obsessed.
So
incredible.
Versus who? I'll let you finish the matchup before
Oh, no, the dog. The dog.
The Pepe. Duh. I was thinking about, because this one started weird. They even make a comment on it.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
They're like, oh, they don't even wait for us anymore. It's funny.
I didn't understand this. The announcer spent like 5 minutes talking about what happened last week, what's happening this week, and then the bell rings, and they're like, huh, what? Oh, I guess we're going to a match.
Yeah.
Like, Eric Bischoff, you're the executive producer. You should know these things.
I also straight up went, oops, did I put on Halloween Havoc 1997?
Yeah.
Because I thought that was Rey Mysterio in the Phantom gear.
When I watched this last week, because we did a little reschedule on when we're recording this, something caught my ear immediately, and I forgot what the comment was. I just literally in the last 5 minutes while I was waiting for the Zoom link was playing it and like cleaning up, tidying a little bit, and I heard it. Somebody says, I think it's Mongo. He says, if these Japanese wrestlers think it's going to be a cakewalk, maybe a rice cakewalk, they got another thing coming or something.
It was Eric Bischoff, actually.
Dude, I heard it in the other room, literally when Jordan texted me with the link, and I was like, oh, there it is. I got it. I forgot what. Holy shit.
I can't believe it.
Your whole business, this whole angle is based on these guys being a threat.
The term is jingoism. That's what's going on here. It's unbelievably racist. Like, I'm trying not to overthink it. It's also 95. But again, Eric Bischoff is the one that made that joke. Eric Bischoff is the president of the company, and he's here making these racist remarks.
He also, because a few episodes for World War III, when Colin said that he listened to the 83 Weeks episode about that, I did too. And Eric Bischoff just talks himself up about how good he is at creating a business relationship with New Japan based on respect and all this shit. And then immediately after week 2 is like, I don't know about these rice cakes coming over here and trying to fight our guys.
Like, even I understand that the scope of, like, you know, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate has changed. Obviously, it's changed. It's ever changing. I can accept that, and I can say, like, oh, that wouldn't fly, kind of a thing. That's fine. So that aside, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're just diminishing this threat that you're trying to sell people on. Like, there's no.
It's so It only.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it defeats the whole novelty of it. So it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna do this, then why I'm not
buying this.
Why even go through all? Yeah, absolutely not. Also,
he can't help himself be like, well, American wrestlers are clearly superior, so why even bother ordering the pay-per-view?
Bo, did you get a Shawn Michaels heart that's painted like zebra Shawn Michaels pants?
Yeah.
No.
It's beautiful.
This is Heather Bailey did this. She's a huge wrestling fan as well in Hollywood. And it's Shawn's tattoo, just with a little.
Yeah.
She loves wrestling. And I was like, dude, let's do the Heartbreak Kid tattoo. And there's no white. That's just my pale skin. My pasty white skin. It's just a negative.
Oh, so it's not the Shawn Michaels print.
It is. It's just not white.
Okay.
It's me. Right. I'm white.
Right.
Yeah. So I fear that this episode was kind of similar to last week, where I didn't have a whole lot of notes. I mean, we'll get there. The last match is amazing.
Yeah.
No problem.
The last match is when business picks up.
Yeah.
So all I have to say about this Eddie Guerrero JL match, great match. They're totally ignoring it.
Yeah.
Other than Bobby Heenan being like, what is JL? Like every time JL is out there, he's like, what does JL stand for? Just looking? like what is he?
The Justice League? What is
He's
this?
just writing
What
down
is he doing?
J.
And Eddie Guerrero wins with a
Jerry
a roll-up.
Lewis.
Eddie wins with a roll-up, which I noticed these really good matches always end in a sudden, I just happened to catch you off guard.
It's like,
they don't want to make
too
each other look
good.
weak.
You know, we're both so good. I just I got one. Yeah.
I got one.
And as Eddie Guerrero is like mugging for the camera, celebrating his win, all I can think about is the Simpsons quote, "Mattingly, shave those sideburns," because they're gone. His sideburns are gone. That was my note.
It was a good match. Eddie Guerrero
Good
is
match.
fucking goat, you know? He's amazing.
Then we
When
had go ahead.
When is this his character like all throughout WCW? Or I feel like in the Halloween Havoc match, he's like kind of a
Yeah, eventually
stinker.
they
He's-
give him mic time and he turns heel, and that's when he starts to learn to talk. And so right now his character is just scrappy up and comer, and he doesn't really talk.
Does JL go on to be anything else? Jerry Lewis?
Yeah, he's Jerry Lynn.
Oh, it's Jerry Lynn. Oh, shit. Why did I not?
That's what JL stands for.
I did not put that.
Well, I think he's doing this so that he can like eat a bunch of losses without Jerry Lynn eating a bunch of losses, which smart. He
Well,
hasn't won
there
a
was
match.
an interview we looked up at the time. He was trying to be modern and like he wanted like a Power Rangers costume, and he was
Right.
hoping to get like a cool name, like some superhero name. But being WCW, they did no prep, and Kevin Sullivan, the booker at the time, didn't want to risk giving him a name that would lead to some sort of copyright lawsuit because they didn't have time to clear it. So they were like, JL, it'll be mysterious.
Yeah.
God.
Oh my god, insane! Did you guys
Hey.
watch Lucha Underground at all?
Yes, of course.
Only,
Oh my god!
only after having gotten back into wrestling have I gone back and watched stuff.
So that is my like getting into wrestling. That's like really the show that
Really?
I got into.
What-
It's my favorite.
Was it
I have
on
such a soft support.
television?
It was on Netflix for a long time, like all the seasons.
It was on the
and,
El
like,
Rey network
Oh,
when that was a thing,
Okay, I see.
which it didn't get much distribution.
I
So
mean,
no one saw
it's a wrestling match that's going on inside of the Foot like hideout from Ninja Turtles.
It's essentially
It's the
but with like a
coolest-
with From Dusk Till Dawn
Yeah,
plots.
yeah.
Like everything's filmed like a B movie, all the promo, which I think is such a fucking fun angle.
It's
I
very
love
fun.
that. I love
in
that
a
they
really
used
unique
film,
way.
or digital film, but like the film style to do
Yeah.
that. And it
Totally.
separated. It created these almost two universes. Like this is the outside world, like
Yeah.
the film, and then this is the this is what the announcers see. They don't see that backstage stuff.
I will say the one thing that they did most they didn't often do it, but it also felt because of the movie cinematic aspect, it felt more like stunt show
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like when there's a crash pad or like stuff like that is like my immersion does kind of break a little bit. Not that I want anyone to actually fucking get hurt or anything, but you know what I'm
Right,
saying.
right.
It's like when
You want them to hide
it's the
it.
blood and guts bump off of the cage onto the crash pad. It's like, oh, he's fine. Like always,
It's I only brought that up because there's literally like a guy who's I think has the luchador gimmick that Jerry Lynn wanted from this. And he's like, they gave him they shoot stuff where he like comes back from the future, and like his name is like interstellar, like or whatever. It's like it rocks. It's so good. And yeah, I can see if it's like, yeah, you angled this like, a Power Ranger wrestler.
yeah.
Kids, they probably would have been into it, but With this, it's just like there's other luchadors on the show. Like we got Juventud and we got like Rey Mysterio. Like we've seen Rey Mysterio at this point. So it just feels the disconnect is huge from that idea. He just seems like another luchador. Anyway, I love Lucha Underground. This match was good.
So then we get something not good, which is an interview with Lex Luger. And for weeks, we've been asking ourselves, why is Jimmy Hart with Lex Luger? And this promo makes me realize why, because Lex Luger cannot talk. Holy crap. Yeah. Woof. Like he's still doing the fumbling over the lines that we were talking about in episode 2. It's brutal, and he's been in the wrestling business at this point for like 15, 20 years. Come on, bro.
He just can't do it. He's like, listen, if you're gonna come at me for a fight, I've never walked away from a fight. I've never done it. I want to. So
Sting, you're my friend, so you bet. I know all about you. Macho Man, you're not my friend,
dude.
That's right, baby. Jimmy Hart's just like
the Sting plot line with them as friends is held together by dental floss.
Yeah.
With Sting doing so much heavy lifting to be like, this man is the best friend I've ever had in the world. I can never turn my back on him. And Lex is like, Lex does not remember that that's the storyline.
No way. Yeah, no way.
Absolutely.
He's like, oh, right.
You're right. Sting is the only one carrying the story because I remember loving it and watching it back now. I'm just like you said, like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. Why would Sting be friends with this? We'll talk about it in the main event, but like he attacked his partner. He cost him like a beatdown essentially. But okay. So then we have Eric Bischoff as he's about to throw to the next match. Lets us know the Macho Man will be here later tonight to comment on the upcoming Starrcade main event, which is a triangle match, which he calls a terrible menage a trois. Eric Bischoff, do you understand the meaning of you're advertising that Sting, Lex Luger, and Ric Flair are going to have sex at Starrcade? Like what?
Here's the thing: I
guess it will be terrible
if you showed up for a menage a trois and then. It's like, oh no, I gotta fight both these guys and then challenge for the title. Like that is a terrible menage a trois. He's not wrong.
That's fair.
It is terrible. I got after this. This is the 4 Horsemen promo.
Mm-hmm. Right before the promo is a match: Disco Inferno versus Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, not Porno Orndorff.
How could I forget? Oh yeah, that's how I can forget.
It was. I couldn't believe I couldn't believe they're giving Disco time, but I want to say this Mr. Wonderful theme is going to be stuck in my head all week because it's so good. Wonderful, they call me Mr. One. Like perfect. That is pro wrestling.
Has that not always been his song? Was it new?
I have no idea.
I think he got it after he got this Gary Spivey glow up.
Dude. I was like, this should have been his song like through the 70s or whatever is going on with him.
It literally sounds like a James Bond, like.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
the bad guy is when Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah. And Mr. Wonderful was a legit tough guy. Before he got into wrestling, he made his money under highways in Florida doing bare knuckle fighting. So he is tough. He once got into
I'd like to see you try to pick a bare knuckle fight with me, Mr. Wonderful.
Wow.
Let the girl go.
You might recall Vader got fired from WCW. It's because he instigated a fight with Mr. Wonderful, who was just coming out of the shower and won with a towel and flip-flops on against Vader.
Right.
He's the most bad dude. That's so badass.
What's his real name?
Paul Orndorff.
Paul Orndorff. Yeah. Right.
And so
he looks like the head of the Irish mafia, and it's fucking sick. And he's beating Vader's ass.
And he was a horseman?
He wasn't a horseman, but
wasn't,
he
okay.
like him and Flair, I think, have some history of
Okay.
teaming together, which
Right.
is what they
Yeah.
acknowledge. And look, this match was terrible, but it did have a great line from Mongo. Heenan tried to put over Disco saying that he could really dance. Mongo goes, "It must be jelly because I never seen jam shake like that."
I literally just watched a RuPaul's Drag Race episode where they said the exact same thing.
No way.
I'm not even fucking kidding.
She has a song. Must
Season
be jelly
15.
because jam don't shake.
Yeah.
How can this be?
I need Mongo on RuPaul's Drag Race. I tell you what.
I don't know what's going on, baby. He'd be so lost.
It's so good. Why that jacket so big? I think it would be beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, this fucking 4 Horsemen shirt that they're all wearing.
Yeah,
I need one.
iconic. I agree.
I is that the 4 Horsemen shirt, or
That's the
like
shirt.
is that their NWO shirt, or was this
Yeah,
just like a 90s version?
this was just the go-to shirt that they. It's sadly not. You might find. I'm sure you could find a bootleg, but yeah, this was like the shirt that they would have. The late '90s design, I guess you could say.
I'm gonna
It's
find
great.
one because I fucking need it. It's sick. That
And this
horse
promo was
blowing
so good.
fire out of its.
Yeah.
As a Coloradoan, I love a satanic blue horse. It's our symbol.
Yes, that's
It's
it.
our gritty, and I feel like we should own it more. Like Philadelphia has embraced gritty, and they're like, this is our weird guy, and we love him.
Mhm.
We should do the same thing with this satanic horse and its angry dick.
Yeah, I found one. $25.99. Get you one.
Well, get me
Cool.
one.
Oh, but it's WWE. Never mind. Need
I don't want that.
an old one. Oh, I went to a Cubs Sox game yesterday with my dad, and
Beautiful.
someone who threw out one of the first pitches is a current NWA Women's Tag Champ. Just a little tie-in. Forget her name already, but hey, hell of a right arm.
Hey, good for you.
They have a
Did
big
it.
pay-per-view coming up. I think it's
you
this
go.
weekend.
She's from here, so it was cool.
Do they do is like NWA? Is their like home location Chicago?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I believe it's. I want to say Georgia.
Oh, Billy.
Yeah,
It's because
Billy.
of Billy Corgan.
Oh
Billy,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That makes sense.
Which is how I connect. My dad was like, "What's that?" I was like, Smashing Pumpkins guy owns it." Oh, okay.
That makes
He owns
sense.
wrestling and a crazy tea shop, Dad. Have you been to the tea shop?
like tea?
The Billy Corgan, he has like doesn't he have a tea shop in Chicago? Isn't that his whole thing?
I had no idea. That's news to me, brother.
Okay, well, here we go. I Googled
Well-
stuff before I went there.
It's true. Madame Zuzu's Emporium.
Wow, that vampire is industrious. You know,
Yeah,
he's just
good for him.
he do be doing things all the time. Tonight,
He's got money to invest in things.
Yeah.
To me, I'm gonna tangent because not much happened in this episode.
Mm-mm.
To me, Smashing Pumpkins are the Megadeth of grunge, where it's
Wow.
like if you put it on paper, I feel like
Kicks
the
ass.
songs like it rocks.
Mhm.
They should be number one,
Mhm.
but they got a silly weird guy on vocals. Like it's not. He's not a mainstream vocalist. Both of them
Yeah,
have that
I'm
problem,
not-
and the
Yeah, I agree.
Nirvana and like Kurt Cobain and James Hetfield sound like what people want to hear.
Mhm.
People do not like that Dave and Billy sound like Dr. Teeth from the Muppets, but guess what? I do. So they're my favorites.
Also,
I
he
think
was
it
like
rocks.
he was kind of not pretty, not as pretty as all the other guys.
I feel like you could like long hair Billy Corgan. I feel like they could have marketed that.
It's funny.
You
He's two different. In long hair Billy is Interview with a Vampire Billy.
Yes.
Bald Billy is Nosferatu Billy. He's just two
Oh.
different kinds of vampire.
Which is I love both of them.
Mm.
Go off. Smashing Pumpkins are fucking sick.
So yeah, we had this.
You know what
Horseman
else is
promo.
sick? Macho Man.
Well,
Well,
wait a
hold
minute,
on.
wait a minute.
Let's talk about this
Yeah,
Horseman
then
promo.
we get the Horseman
First
thing,
of all,
and then the
uh,
blow up.
I
Awesome.
yeah, I love Brian Pillman essentially trolling Mean Gene Okerlund with the longest promo. And you can even tell like Ric Flair was getting annoyed because he's ready to like Ric Flair is revving up the Ric Flair-ness, you know, and he's like, all right, Brian, come on. I gotta go. I gotta explode.
Yeah.
But it actually made sense because here he is talking shit on all the other guys, including Paul Orndorff, who hears him. And before Paul Orndorff goes out, Ric Flair does his Nature Boy stuff. And just, by the way, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the heart of Horsemen Country, as we will clearly hear later on in the show. Paul Orndorff comes out. He's like, you know, I have respect for you, Brian, Ric Flair. I have respect for you, Arn. But who the hell are you to talk about me?
Yeah.
And I love.
And he says I could have been a horseman too, which is like.
Yes.
He's like, I could have done it if I wanted to. And it's like believable from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that Anderson and Flair like respect him and they're like, hey, let's calm it down. But as soon as Brian Pillman and Orndorff start fighting, they beat the shit out of him. They fuck him up.
That's really cool. Like it's cool that it's just like, look, if you're gonna fuck with one of us, you have to deal with all of us. Who's the fourth at this time?
Chris Benoit.
And he was in it that early on.
Yeah, this was the reformation, and then he got added on Saturday night. We don't see it on Nitro. They do a stretcher angle, which I am not really that into. I don't like that. I guess Paul Orndorff had to have big surgery, so they did this as a way to write him off, even though we haven't seen him on Nitro more than once. I did really like kind of what you were talking about last week, Bo, about how WCW acknowledges past timelines. Bobby Heenan left the announce booth and was checking in on Paul Orndorff because Bobby Heenan used to manage Paul Orndorff in WWF.
I love that.
And even Mongo acknowledged it, which I thought was really cool and added, even though I didn't like the angle, I thought that really added an element of realness to it that like made me kind of buy into it a little more.
There's just something that's always intrinsically cool about like, oh, there's deeper story here. Like, this is like, it's like the respect of rivals, you know? And it's always cool. And it's always cool to acknowledge it.
And I feel like this is what really set WCW apart from WWF at the time, is they would acknowledge the WWF history. WWF would never, WWF would never acknowledge anything outside of their universe, quote unquote. If it didn't happen within WWF, it didn't really happen to this character. But with WCW, everything happened. Like, it's a sport.
I do understand one or the other, you know, like if you're going to do one, go all the way in that direction. But I just think it's way more fun. Cause like we're the Horsemen were NWA, right? Like that's like, that predates WCW by a long time. So it's cool that it's like, oh yeah, we were kicking ass for decades and now we're here. Yeah. And we're not going to pretend like we're not going to call it the four guys. Like we're not going to change the name of this thing that everyone knows.
What's up? We're the four bad guys.
They do.
We are the apocalypse.
I love the pile driver.
Four zebramen.
I love that Orndorff, Paul Orndorff.
Yep.
Orndorff.
That he messes with Pillman. And so then the enforcer's like, well, I have to slam your head onto concrete now.
I have to enforce.
I have to do this. And Flair's going to gingerly grab your ankles and jump.
Yeah.
And like they love a fight. And also the crowd is cheering them on. They're cheering on the Mafia. I love that.
It's awesome. Coincidentally, I believe when I watched this was over the weekend or around then, and on Collision, the enforcer's back, brings out his kid, and they were in Charlotte. And he says,
well, they were in North Carolina. They're in Greensboro.
Sorry, you're absolutely right. They're in North Carolina. But he says like, this is still Horseman Country. And like,
and everyone threw up the fours.
It got me so good, dude. It just goes to show that like these like grand storylines that can kind of go through generations and promotions or whatever always pay off. Like it's always worth it.
It totally, well, it's the magic of the medium, because the only other art form that tells stories that last this long is like comic books.
Yeah,
But
manga and
those
shit,
swap writers and artists, so it's always kind of like if the wrestling gimmick was able to swap to like a whole other body.
Right.
There's nothing like wrestling where it's just this is this story for this guy,
Which is
for his
was just like
entire adult life.
proof of concept of that too is fake Diesel and fake Razor. You know,
Right.
Yeah,
it's like that
immediately get the fuck
doesn't
outta here.
work. If it's Doink, it kind of works, and that's about it.
Right. We get a promo for WCW Saturday Night where the main event is Sting versus Sergeant Craig Pittman. Oh my God, what are they doing to our boy Sting?
Workhorse, dude.
And then
the
to follow that up,
workhorseman.
followed up, we get Lex Luger main eventer against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jesus fucking Christ,
Dude, the face, the fucking face, like the like, huh? Face, like I don't get it. I just don't. That
the
is
crowd loves him.
well, I mean, I love him too. Don't get me wrong. I'd be
We love him.
I'd be hoeing my fucking gills off. But like, if I got into if I became aware of wrestling during that era, during the era of just like blue trunks, black trunks, red trunks, that's it, and everyone's just kind of like a guy, I don't think it would have worked for me. I don't think I would have.
Mhm.
If
We'll get
because
over
like
it very
that
quick.
that like
Mhm.
80s, you know, late 70s, 80s era, where it's like, with the exception of like Flair and, you know, Anderson and stuff, like, I don't know if it would have gripped me. I need an Undertaker. I need even this Dungeon of Doom shit is like that. I like that stuff. I like the dark stuff, you know?
Well, yeah, you
Well-
need a spooky guy, or I need somebody with some like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or whatever. Like I've watched some of those NWA matches, and I'm like, this guy fucking rocks. His
Yeah.
name is the Dragon.
Yeah.
He's got long white tights all the time. He's fucking jacked. He makes like an arm drag look like the coolest thing you ever saw.
Mhm.
I'm like, that's a finishing move right there.
You should
so
see
I
his
think that's-
WWF entrance. They gave him a whole dragon outfit, and he came out breathing fire.
Whoa.
It was
Sick.
quite an upgrade.
That's sick. Here's the I love
I love it.
pageantry. Again, I
Yeah,
got into
same.
wrestling through drag. So if you're giving me a runway before your sick match, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in.
I understand. I just like, I don't know, when I think about that time period, or I'm like reminded of Hacksaw, and I'm reminded of who's the chicken wing guy?
Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund, like all that stuff. Like I just like
Wait, what?
his finisher was the chicken wing.
It's a submission
It's a
hold.
submission.
It's
yeah.
actually like, yeah, it's like
Probably sucks.
yeah, it's like one arm is choking you and the other one hooks your arm from behind.
You know, but it's
I
still
love it.
it's more of just like, I'm an American and I'm gonna fight.
Oh no,
these-
he's got him in the potato skin.
Yeah.
Look out.
the old
I want
artichoke
all
dip.
apps finishers.
Yeah.
Will he tap out to the mozzarella stick?
Never. I would never tap out to a
I'm gonna
mozzarella
hit you with the Southwest egg roll, baby.
Yeah, so my point is like I'm just glad that there's a little more of that, and especially, you know, in
Mhm.
this era that we're in right now, is like when they do a good job. And then granted, the MWO makes it like all fucking super normal guy, like there is, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're just like,
Well, they still do surreal stuff.
Yeah.
Even with the NWO, because there's Glacier. I don't know if you remember
Sting.
Glacier.
Sting doing
Sting,
the
yeah,
whole
Sting
crow,
with the crow,
shit.
yeah.
So like, and like that was the best. Like
Agree. Yeah,
That was the coolest
wrestling
fucking
needs
thing,
That stuff.
so.
Wrestling needs a little bit of like Halloween horror stuff year round.
and even just
Because
what is it? It's like a little bit of just like fantasy.
it's pageantry.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Because otherwise, yeah, what's the real benefit of wrestling? It's what if a sports competition was exciting the entire time? Like that's the template
right.
for what wrestling can be, is like we can plan it, and thus there's no lull. Like you'll never watch something for 3 hours and it's like it ends in a draw or whatever, with nothing really happening.
Yeah.
And that goes for like the personas of the competitors themselves as well. Like, what if this was the most exciting sports like participant you ever saw?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that guy's like Batman. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly.
Batman winning the World Series. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Wow. That's a really good way to put it. Is like, why is wrestling cool? It's like, imagine the Super Bowl, but if everyone was like various comic book and like Marvel characters just beating each other's asses.
Yeah, it rocks.
The whole time.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm here for silliness. And then also that, like, I want to see what you can do in the format of like improv and storytelling and also athleticism. Like, that shit's crazy.
Yeah.
I love the nexus of what you're discussing comes out in the next promo. We're talking about Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh my God, the greatest.
He's unbelievable.
What a look. Like, this is your champion.
Yeah.
This is the champion right here. So good.
I think this is the best like wrestler and belt combo.
He looks real good.
He looks great with the big gold.
But nobody looks better than Goldberg. Nobody looks better than Goldberg.
Goldberg looks fucking
he
dope.
looks, literally, it looks like that belt was made for his body. And it wasn't, which we know factually. But he looks that good with it. The Rock looked really good with it. Flair looks great in it, but it's almost like, of course he does. Yeah. And Hunter had it for a minute, and he looked pretty good in it too.
Yeah.
It takes a certain body type. It takes like a wide. You need to be
wide shoulders, slim waist.
Yeah.
Stitch that waist with the title.
Batista, I don't know if he ever had this belt, but it probably
he did. That was the main. I think that was the only. He only won the world title. He didn't win the WWF title. I don't believe.
That belt's so
so Macho looks great. He hypes up his match with the Giant next week, which again I feel so bad for Macho Man. He has this fucking torn bicep. He has to be in a long 20-minute match last week with Luger. Next week he has to carry the Giant to a match.
Maybe it's a squash.
Hopefully. Well, who knows?
Macho Man squashes the Giant. That would fucking rule.
Then we have the main event, which again, this is a pay-per-view main event, I feel.
Yeah, it's
Ric Flair and Arn Anderson versus Hulk Hogan and Sting.
In Charlotte.
In Charlotte, in Horsemen Country. So I read in the Observer, the reason they did that beatdown was they were hoping that the beatdown would turn the crowd against Ric Flair, which it's just like, whoever thought that should be fired because they don't understand wrestling crowds, especially in Horseman Country.
Dude, it's literally like Punk trying to go full heel in Chicago.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It doesn't matter. It'll never happen.
They boo Hulk Hogan
the moment
down to heck. They can't stop booing. Bischoff tries to play it off as people booing Arn calling for a timeout, and it's like, Eric, that's not why they're booing, and you know that.
I will say
they can't even drown it out. Yeah,
I think as far as like classic, like I hate that. I know obviously the term makes sense and I get it, but I hate when people like me who have no business talking about stuff like this use the term ring psychology. But this, in my opinion, is like a textbook perfect example of like how a match should go, how a tag match should go. It's like perfect. It's so fucking cool. There's constant like, like, and it ramps up slow and steady, and it's so good.
It's so good. Arn is unbelievable. That he does a really simple move on Hogan and immediately is like, I almost got you. I almost fucking got you. And it was, I was like, Arn is the best.
Dude,
Arn is the fucking dopest.
Oh, one thing he says during the promo, though, is he says, no, I'm sorry. He said it. This is, again, I'm going back to Collision, but I'm conflating the two because it was like the same day for me.
It's been an Arn bonanza.
He says, if I was younger, I'd get in there and I'd spine buster you. And it's like,
your ass to heck.
But it's just funny to say spine buster you and not spine but I don't know. It just sticks out.
Spine buster as a verb.
Yeah, it's just like Arn.
Spine bust does not exist. It's only
So I love that they kept doing spots where like Ric Flair would distract the ref and Arn would do a low blow or something like that, and the crowd would go nuts. They would love it.
Dude, I love hometown shit so much. That's part of the fun, you know? And the crowd was really hot. The crowd was
crowd woke up. They were dead the whole show until this. And Lex Luger runs out. Crowd's going nuts. Lex Luger attacks Hulk Hogan, which I understand him and Hulk Hogan don't like each other, but Hulk Hogan is Sting's partner. This prevents Sting from getting out of the ring. You are literally harming your best friend.
Yeah, your friend. I'm so confused. Still.
Yeah. But I have to say, I could not believe how quickly Lex Luger picked up Hulk Hogan into that torture rack. Hulk Hogan is like 300 pounds.
You know what's funny? I think I mentioned this on like one of the first episodes I did with you guys, but like Sting's a big guy. Flair's not so big, but he's bigger than me. You know what I mean? Yeah. When they're next, and in my brain, Hogan's just kind of like standard. Hogan is huge.
He's huge.
And I know, dude,
he's a big boy.
When he's Thunderlips in Rocky 3, and like, I don't think Stallone's like big, but I don't think he's very tall. I don't know how tall he is.
No, he's short.
Dude.
Yeah, he's like 5'4".
Is he really?
So, yeah, he's painfully short.
Well, when he's next to Stallone, it's like, holy shit, Hulk Hogan is fucking massive. And when he's in the ring against these other big guys, it's like, oh yeah, he's a big boy. He's not like, for some reason in my brain, he was always just kind of like average sized.
Also, at this point, he's like not on steroids, so he's the leanest he's been. So he looks even smaller, but he's still 6'6", like legit 6'6". Has to be like 280 pounds. You know?
Yeah.
How tall is
Sting also slims down once he's in like the Crow gimmick, and every time we see him in this era, I'm like, my God, he's fucking jacked.
He's a beefcake. Macho Man's 6'1", which like that's, and it says that Hulk is 6'7". So even if that's a lie, it's still like a 6-inch difference. And like, that's fucking crazy. 6 inches is crazy. Huge.
It's not that big. No.
I was waiting for it.
As soon as I said
so. They win the match, and then it's like, it's so weird how the Horsemen just disappear after the match. And then I want to point out, as soon as Gene comes in the ring, please show the full video of this. Gene comes in the ring. In the lower right corner of the screen, you see a Horseman fan that stands on his chair. He has a Hogan bandana. These are planted merchandise that has been given out to the whole crowd. He has the Hogan bandana. He rips it in half, and he does a 4 horseman sign with like all the like power in his body. And he just like this. It was, I died. This is one of the most iconic scenes in early Nitro history.
The second we are done, I'm watching that. I did not catch that.
This is as soon as Gene comes into the ring.
Noted.
For the segment.
I did not catch that either. But this guy,
awesome.
This guy is like 6 beers in.
No, he's 44 beers in, really.
That 44 beers in guy is my best friend now. I love him.
Incredible. Free swag that like you know people are keeping.
Right. And he's like, fuck that. Fuck Hogan.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
I love him.
Woo!
So then it's the same promo we've been hearing every week about who could trust who, blah, blah, blah. Finally, it seems though that they're like Macho. So when Macho runs in to save them, Sting does a delay and then punches Macho Man, which I think they kind of messed it up. I think it was supposed to be like Macho was supposed to turn him around and he's not supposed to see who he's punching.
Right.
But he apologizes, and Macho Man Hogan's like, it's okay, brother. We should trust him. I saw it in his eyes. And Macho Man goes, I'm the master of disaster, of overreacting, and I know that. It's a fault. I say we all take a chill pill.
Yeah,
I think subliminally, I have all the respect for you. Me and Hogan talk about it all the time.
Dude, I love therapy Macho Man.
Dude, hey, Randy, what are you doing? Not much. Think about Sting. Up late talking about Sting.
Thinking about how cool Sting is. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Pretty cool.
He's a pretty cool guy.
I it's frustrating I'm a full-on adult with a full-on adult brain, and I still cannot make sense of the mess that is the storyline. And it's like,
it's because of your adult brain that you weren't able to do it, because this was written by drugged out adults with children brains.
yeah, true. I need a graphic. We need to make a graphic of
A chart.
with lines of who backs who and who doesn't and why. Because there's 6 moving parts. It's insane.
I agree.
It's
too much to follow.
fucking ridiculous.
The other thing that really bothers me with the storyline continuity, and again, I'm not trying to overthink this, but you have this big USA versus Japan tournament or whatever you're calling it. And then why is your biggest American hero not in the tournament? Hulk Hogan. Like they in no way explain why Hogan isn't wrestling at Starrcade. Like I'm sure it's some sort of,
he says I've been suspended. But it's like, why?
but you're wrestling.
Yeah,
You're
when
wrestling
did you
here
get-
today.
Did you
Yeah, what?
you got suspended in between the schmaz ending of this match and this promo?
I have
Yeah,
been
and
How
for
did
what?
you learn that?
I've been suspended starting at the end of this sentence.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
It's so weird. They have so many tools to like kick fucking ass, and they keep fumbling. And really, it's a lot of it is Hogan.
Now, is the
A lot of
tournament
it's-
at Starrcade?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
It's not a
is-
tournament. It's like like it's 7 matches, and then like whichever side wins the most matches is the winner.
Okay. And then and then the triangle match is also at Starrcade?
Yes.
And the triangle
Exactly.
match is Hogan.
The triangle match is not. No, Hogan is not on the show at
Hogan's
all.
just not on it. Okay. Yeah, that's
The
crazy.
triangle match is Flair, Sting, and Luger.
Right.
Sting and Luger are also in the
tournament.
Japan tournament. Flair is not, which kind of telegraphs who's going to win. and then the winner faces Macho Man later in the night. Macho Man also in the tournament.
This is going to be the greatest Starrcade ever.
I'm very
because
excited.
there's no Hogan, and
It
it's
is-
versus New Japan.
Work rate wise, it's really really cool. It's a really cool event. But it's like it's a total like self-contained. It's a bottle episode.
Oh, I got
know,
you.
like,
Yeah.
Nothing really plays out. I guess the storyline for the world title is the only thing that's outside of the bottle. But
Gotcha.
other than that, so yeah, that's this week's Nitro. Not so much, but things really heat up next week right away.
Yeah,
It's a
dude.
big iconic moment.
I
We'll
said
talk about it then.
yeah, I said before we started that the autoplay started playing the next episode, and there's like an iconic within the first 30 seconds. And I
We
can't
can't
wait
talk
to talk
about
about
it
it.
right
Yeah, we can't talk about it. I'm just saying. Next week's
You
gonna
got
be
to tune
good.
in next week.
It's gonna be real good.
It's going to be so good. Folks, thank you so much for joining us here on Knitro. Take us home, Rob.
We love you. Follow us, Knitro Pod. Also, big thanks to our editor, Rob Menzer. And hey, if you want more wrestling in your life, I do a weekly wrestling interview podcast, Squared Circle Pit, also here on Knotfest. Oh, you're here on Knotfest and you want even more podcasts? How about Hard Lore?
How about it?
Stories from tour.
That's what we got.
Lots of cool stuff. So we got you covered. And until then, folks, stay crispy. Huh?
Stay crispy. High five.